sack of Rome by the Visigoths in the early 5th century is like that moment in a movie, when the seemingly invincible hero faces their first major defeat. It's the early 5th century, and the Western Roman Empire, once the mighty juggernaut of the ancient world, is on shaky ground. The empire is grappling with internal strife, economic troubles, and pressure from various barbarian groups at its borders. It's like a ship taking on water, and no one's quite sure how to bail it out. Alaric and his people were feeling pretty unappreciated by the Romans. They wanted recognition and compensation for their service in the Roman military. And guess what? Negotiations broke down, tensions flared, and Alaric decided it was time to make a bold move. So join us as we dive into the tale of the forceful invasion of Rome. Historical background. In the early 5th century, the Western Roman Empire found itself in a state of profound crisis. This once mighty empire, which had once stretched from the British Isles to North Africa, was now plagued by a series of interwoven challenges that threatened its very existence. Firstly, internal strife had weakened the empire's political stability. Rapid turnover of emperors and power struggles among the ruling elite created a climate of uncertainty. The effectiveness of central governance was compromised, making it difficult to address the empire's mounting problems. Economically, the Western Roman Empire faced severe challenges. The tax burden on its citizens was heavy, and the treasury was strained by the cost of maintaining a vast military presence across the empire's borders. Additionally, inflation eroded the value of the Roman currency, further destabilizing the economy. Externally, the empire faced constant threats from barbarian groups on its borders. One such group was the Visigoths, a Germanic people led by Alaric. Alaric had served in the Roman military and had risen to prominence among the Visigoths. However, he and his people felt increasingly marginalized and mistreated by the Romans. Alaric sought recognition and compensation for their military service to the empire, which they believed was overdue. As tensions escalated and negotiations with Roman authorities failed, Alaric decided to take matters into his own hands. He saw an opportunity to challenge the weakened Western Roman Empire. His motivations were not solely rooted in conquest. He sought a place for his Visigothic people within the Roman world. He wanted the empire to acknowledge and reward their contributions. The culmination of these factors set the stage for a dramatic turning point in Roman history: the sack of Rome by the Visigoths in 410 AD. This event would not only shock the Roman world, but also mark a significant step in the decline of the Western Roman Empire, demonstrating its vulnerability and highlighting the shifting power dynamics of the time. Lead up to the sack, the Visigoths, led by Alaric, had been serving in the Roman military for quite some time. They'd fought in various campaigns and were promised rewards and recognition, like lands and titles. However, Rome often fell short on these promises, and the Visigoths began to feel like they were getting the short end of the stick. The straw that broke the camel's back was when a new emperor, Emperor Honorius, came into power in the Western Roman Empire. He decided to cut off the traditional Roman grain supply to the Visigoths. Now, imagine you're depending on your regular grocery deliveries, and suddenly, they stop. That's how it felt for the Visigoths. They were hungry, frustrated, and felt betrayed. Alaric tried negotiations with the Roman authorities to settle these issues. He wanted land for his people and protection for his Visigothic soldiers, fair and square. But negotiations hit a brick wall. The Roman officials weren't too keen on meeting Alaric's demands, probably thinking they could brush him off like a pesky fly. So what did Alaric and his Visigothic crew do? They decided to take matters into their own hands. They embarked on a march towards Rome, making it clear that they weren't playing around. It's like a showdown in the Wild West, only it's ancient Europe, and Rome is the town everyone's aiming for. This march toward Rome set the stage for a dramatic showdown that would shake the Roman world. The Visigoths weren't just out for a stroll. They were out for justice and a piece of the Roman pie that they believed was rightfully theirs. The sack itself. Alaric and his Visigothic warriors are camped outside the walls of Rome. They're not just here for sightseeing. They mean business. Negotiations with the Roman authorities, including the Roman Senate, had hit a brick wall. The Visigoths were dead set on getting what they felt they deserved, and Rome was dead set on not giving it to them. Tensions were sky high.
Here's where it gets interesting. Alaric knew that the Senate had a lot of sway and influence in the city. So he decided to play a little political chess. He reached out to the Senate, proposing that if they helped him secure certain demands, he would make sure the Visigoths didn't ransack the city. It's a bit like striking a deal with the city council when you've got the town surrounded.
And that, likely feeling the heat and fearing the wrath of Alaric's warriors, decided to take him up on his offer. They saw it as a way to potentially protect Rome from utter destruction. So they threw their support behind Alaric, giving him the green light to enter the city. Now, with Senate support in his back pocket, Alaric and his Visigoths made their way through the gates of Rome. It must have been a surreal sight, a foreign army marching into the heart of the Roman Empire, not as conquerors, but as part of an unusual alliance. But let's not kid ourselves. This wasn't a friendly visit. The Visigoths may have held back from complete devastation, but they still went on a looting spree. Palaces, temples, homes, nothing was safe. They plundered the city, grabbing whatever they could get their hands on. It was like Black Friday at the mall, but with far more chaos and far fewer sales. The city of Rome suffered immense damage during this sack. While it wasn't wiped off the map, it was a brutal blow to its prestige and resources. The events of that fateful day would echo through history as a dramatic episode in the decline of the Western Roman Empire. Symbolic significance. Sack of Rome in 410 was more than just a military conquest. It was a symbolic earthquake that shook the very foundations of the Roman world. Here's why it was such a big deal. First, picture Rome. For centuries, it had been the symbol of power and invincibility. Rome was like that superhero who always saved the day. But in 410 that superhero took a hit. The Visigoths, led by Alaric, marched right into the heart of the empire and plundered the eternal city. Now imagine you're a Roman at that time. You've grown up hearing stories of the mighty Roman Empire, of how it conquered the known world. You believed in its strength and superiority. But suddenly the unthinkable happens. Rome falls. It's like watching Superman lose a fight. It shattered the Roman psyche. This event made Romans question everything they had held dear. Their confidence was shattered, and their sense of security was gone. The idea that Rome could be invaded and plundered was a psychological blow. It was as if their world had turned upside down. The sack of Rome wasn't just about physical damage. It was about the loss of prestige and the belief in Rome's invincibility. The empire's aura of strength and superiority was tarnished, and it marked a turning point in Roman history. It signaled the decline of a once mighty empire. This psychological impact rippled through the Roman world. People began to question the legitimacy of the central government, and the idea of a unified Roman Empire started to crumble. It was like a crack in the foundation that would eventually lead to the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD.
Legacy.
Sack of Rome by the Visigoths in 410. It has left an indelible mark in the annals of history, resonating across centuries as a symbol of Rome's decline and a turning point in the empire's trajectory. In the pages of history, this event is often seen as a pivotal moment that underscores the vulnerability of even the mightiest empires. It's like a warning sign that says, no one is invincible. Rome, once the juggernaut of the ancient world, could no longer claim to be untouchable. The sack of its capital was a glaring example of the empire's weakened state, both politically and militarily. Furthermore, the sack of Rome had profound implications for understanding the fall of the Western Roman Empire. It wasn't just a one-off event. It was part of a larger pattern. The empire had been grappling with internal turmoil, economic struggles, and external threats for years. The Visigothic sack was a dramatic culmination of these problems. It's like the final straw that broke the camel's back. As time marched on, this event continued to echo in later historical accounts and literature. Writers and historians, such as St. Augustine, a prominent Christian theologian, grappled with the theological implications of Rome's fall. They sought to make sense of how an empire that had once seemed eternal could crumble. Augustine's famous work, The City of God, was, in part, a response to the shockwaves sent through society by the sack of Rome. Throughout the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance, the sack of Rome served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the consequences of overreach and decay. Artists and writers drew inspiration from this event, incorporating it into their works as a symbol of the rise and fall of civilizations. If you enjoyed this historical deep dive, hit that like button to show your support. Share this video and also subscribe to our channel. Until next time.